with worshipful brother Dan Kilpatrick to talk about the very soon, upcoming April 6th Grand Lodge of Arizona Grand Lecturer School of Instruction. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Right, so the School of Instruction is taking place in Sierra Vista, Campstone Lodge number 77. I think the first place I want to start with is what is a school of instruction, right? Can you talk about what that is? And I know different Masons are going to have different. Some have lodges of instruction, some have conferences. Like from your perspective, from the Arizona jurisdiction, what is the School of Instruction?
Okay, in Arizona, we have DDGMs, District Deputy Grand Masters, which are the link between a worshipful master and the Grand Lodge of Arizona. We also have DDGL, which is District Deputy Grand Lecturers, who really more focus on the education and ritual side of Masonry. So it's not in the, as they say in the food chain, they're not, DDGL lecturers are not somebody it has to be answered to, but they're an outside resource lodges can use to assist with ritual and education, Masonic education. So what separates Masonry from the Elks? Ritual, tradition. And so that's kind of where we use them in Arizona. A lodge of instruction or a school of instruction, and both terms I think are used kind of the same. I've never found a difference, is a way for me to go out and talk to the specific lodges about the importance of ritual, or the meaning of things in our ritual is also a big discussion. So what I've done is this Saturday at 5 o'clock, the school or the lodge, Campstone 77, which is actually a daylight lodge. They usually normally meet at 9 o'clock in the morning or 9:30 in the morning. But they have asked, would I come out and present to the lodge? I've done this with most of the lodges in my area, but my area stretches several hours away. I have one lodge that's about 2.5 hours away. And then I have some lodges that are closer. So I have a total of, just off the top of my head, I should have known this by heart, but like 7 lodges that I'm the lecturer for. And so I'm reaching out. One is Sierra Vista, and it's about 20 miles away from my current home, which in Arizona distance, that's really nothing. That's right around the corner. But they've reached out, and so I'm going to present them about we're going to talk about Masonic tradition informs us what, and the term, what does Masonic tradition mean? Some of the terms and the importance of why we have ritual and why we should be focusing on perfecting the ritual. Because if we continue to just change words, then we in essence can change the ritual, and may or might kind of have similar meanings, but don't mean the same thing. And as tradition passed down, then that ritual can be changed, and eventually it can be changed over time. I mean, are we saying the same words that George Washington said? I don't know. Are we saying the same ritual that was said 100 years ago? I don't know. Does anybody know? And that's kind of what the Lodge of Instruction or School of Instruction is kind of intended to do, or that's how I'm using it. This lodge has reached out. This will be my 4th or 5th school that I've done in the last year. I try to go to the lodges because, as I say, time's a big thing for everybody. And if you can meet at their lodge, it's easier for one person to travel the 20 miles to meet at their lodge than trying to get 20 people from their lodge to travel to me.
Well, first of all, shout out to my brothers in a Daylight Lodge. I just was elected worshipful master of a Daylight Lodge here in Windsor, and actually a good friend of mine, Cameron Bailey, friend and brother from Washington State. He's kind of helping out a Daylight Lodge. I think Daylight Lodges are an important part of the craft that sometimes get overlooked. So shout out to a Daylight Lodge, and also shout out to them for reaching out and trying to, or actually not trying to, organizing, making the meeting special, right? I think that we talked about this offline, right? People are so busy. It can be easy to, want a meeting to, you open, you do your business, you close, you go your separate ways, because that's the easiest way to do it, right? And you don't have to plan anything or organize anything. Actually taking the time to reach out and try to organize something, I think, is a pretty is really good for them and good on them. So what was it like when you first got that phone call? Were you excited? Were you like, what was the process like of the coordination and the organization between yourself and the Daylight Lodge?
Well, okay. Unfortunately, I don't get to make as many as their meetings as I want to because they're usually on Saturday mornings, and I have other commitments. I have a job that's about 6 days a week, and I own a business. So Saturday mornings are really hard for me to make. But I've been to several of the meetings, and I know most of the brothers. Here in Cochise County, there's a lot of the Masons that travel, and we go to different and we see each other. So they're not unknown entities at all. The matter of fact, the Worshipful Master is a member of my home lodge as well, here in Tombstone, King Solomon #5, Territorial Lodge. So I do know the master over there quite well. The good part for me is when I became a DDGL, the lecturer, last year, I was asked to fill that role. And so I opened, I thought about it before I accepted. When the Grand Master said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this?" I thought about it because I didn't want to take a job on or a position without putting in the effort. I don't want a title. I bought a title in Scotland. I'm a lord. Okay. I own the plot of land like many other people. It's about a foot by foot, but that's all right. So I don't want a title. I wanted to actually go out and help lodges. And so when I got that call, I thought about it and I said, this is something I would be really interested in doing. And since that time, I've started reaching out to all the lodges um, to let them know that I'm here to help you and I will come to your lodge because again, we talk about time and it's easier for me to get there. So I was, I'm really excited. Like I say, I have 2 more lodges to go in my area to do this, to do a school of instruction for this year. And then I'm going to create a different curriculum and then start the cycle again. I mean, we never stop learning. Once you stop learning about Masonry and you think you have it all mastered, that's when your education is really just beginning. I mean, you're a master. Congratulations. Is this your first or second time or third or fourth? I mean, you know, I know this is my second time as a master and I'm learning things different now.
It's so it's my first time as master of this particular lodge. Um, it's the Daylight Lodge. I've been struggling a bit, and we've been trying to turn it around. And we are turning it around. But my first time as master of this lodge, I was first master in 2015 of my mother lodge, and I was a master for 2 years there, consecutive years. Then I affiliated with a Harmony Lodge, became a master there. So this, I guess, would be either
Third,
my
fourth.
my fourth year as
Yeah.
master. Right, my first term lasted 2 years, and then my second term was one. So no, but I mean, I agree with you completely. Right, there's always something new to learn about the craft, right, and the opportunity from or even um, it's not even about necessarily learning something new. It's just the opportunity to practice, right? Like, I mean, in a lot of ways, I view it as equivalent to working out or to therapy or whatever it is, right? Just because even if you reach the point where you're satisfied with your mental health, with your physical health, that doesn't mean you then get to stop. You have to
No.
keep doing it to keep to keep that progress and try to make more progress, right? And the same thing with Masonry is you may reach a point where you feel like you're competent and you're confident in your work and your ability to be a Mason, which is really hard. People don't realize it, but it is really challenging. But if you don't then keep putting in the work to practice your ritual, to ask questions, it's going to start to slip over time.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. One of the things our lodge, we really strive for solid ritual. And that's, something our lodge really strives for, and we believe in it. And so we practice a lot. Now, fortunately, we're a pretty active lodge, and we're doing about a degree a month, if not two. Um, so we have a lot of things going on. If I can mention real quick, on the 20th of this month, we are doing a outdoor degree at the Gunfight of the OK Corral Theater, which is going to be the first time ever that we're going to be doing a degree on the grounds of the Gunfight of the OK Corral, which is just really fascinating for us. We are so excited about that. That's just way cool.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, I've seen some advertisements of that. I think I even heard about. I mean, I'm assuming this has been in the planning stages for a while, as it's going to be, right? Because I think I remember hearing about it last year. Some brothers from Arizona. Because I went to, oh, I can't think of their names now, but I went to an event in Nogales, Arizona, and then we crossed
okay.
over to Nogales, and I got a ride with some brothers from Phoenix. I flew into Phoenix, got the ride down. And I think I remember them talking about it and saying, like, we're looking at next year doing a degree in Tombstone. I didn't know what Tombstone was, and then they talked about OK Corral, and I was like, I heard of the OK Corral, and so I mean, congratulations on that. I can only imagine how excited you must be,
Well,
because it's going to be quite
yeah,
the undertaking.
it is really cool. Of course, we have members of the Grand Line are going to be participating in the degree as well. It's a third degree. Um, so it's just, I think it's really fascinating that we're be able to use the actual grounds and to do this and kind of relive that history. Now, our officers wear generally 1880s outfits, so it's very, to see us all in the attired similar, not the same. Everybody has their own style of 1880s, but we all wear 1880s style. And then again, we have a level of that we strive for. Do we make mistakes? Sure, but we're still striving to achieve that word perfect level. And we're really excited about that. But also, and it sounds to me like you may have gone down with somebody from Prometheus 87. I think they did something with Nogales. But in October 5th, we're going to do another outdoor degree at the courthouse in Tombstone and the gallows. And that's going to be called Judgment Night in the gallows. And we're going to do that as well in Tombstone. So we have two really big degrees that will bring in several hundred people, Masons in Arizona and around. Well, for the OK Corral degree, we have people from around the world right now registered, that are coming in to participate or watch this degree. So we're really looking forward to that. And that's part of that school of instruction is how do we get there? We have to practice what we preach, and I talk about ritual, and am I 100% word perfect? No, but I'm 100% trying to be word perfect every time we do ritual. And that's kind of what I stress in the school of instruction, is what separates us from other fraternities. Um,
Going back to the School of Instruction, though, I think I've been part of outdoor meetings in the past, outdoor degrees. I mean, it's incredible, and I know it's going to be a terrific time, right? Going back to the School of Instruction, right? You in the poster, which I found, which kind of started this whole thing off, me getting in touch. It says in there, right? The Grand Lodge of Arizona hosts a series of instruction to provide an opportunity to ask questions on ritual and the symbolism in a relaxed and intimate setting. For yourself, doing these schools of instruction, what are some of the more common type of questions? Obviously,
what
this is not tiled, so we can't be too specific. But what are some of the common types of questions that you're getting from those in attendance?
A lot of times it's some of the nuances of ritual. Something I can cover, like, what does Masonic tradition inform us mean? How, why is the apron worn the way it's worn for the different levels? Um, what is, and we're not tiled, so I do want to be very cautious as to what I say, but what is some of the meaning behind some of the words in the obligation? these are some of the questions that come up, because it's written in Old English style, or Arizona is mostly, Old English a little bit. Not sure how Canada is, but I mean, Arizona, we base ours. And there's words that have meanings that people are like, okay, I don't really know what it means. I'll just say the word. And so sometimes we go into that. And so the School of Instruction or Lodge of Instruction, like I say, interchangeable, um, is a very much of a discussion group. It's not that I have all the answers. I've gone into some of these meetings, and I've learned stuff, as other Masons. I mean, I'm not saying I have the whole expert, or I'm the grand poobah of reading the ritual book or understanding it all. I go in, and there's things I've learned, and we discuss things and we come up with a consensus and say, this is what kind of this means, kind of thing. So it's definitely more of an instruction. I'm more of a facilitator. In the state of Arizona, we have several DDGLs. I think don't get me on a number. There's quite a few of us. I have 7 lodges, I worry about me, but I talk to several other DDGLs in the area, and that's where we exchange curriculum or topic ideas to bring up. And so it's definitely a way for the state of Arizona to communicate out, that the Grand Master and the Deputy Grand Master can't do by themselves, because there's only 2 guys and they can't be everywhere all the time.
Do you find that the nature of the discussion will change based on who's in the room? Particularly, I was thinking particularly of ranks. Like, in the poster, right? It's this school of instruction. I'm assuming most schools of instruction, well, pretty much all would be, open to EAs or above. I'm assuming that there may be times where, you can discuss certain things with a candidate or applicants or the public in very general sense without getting specific. But my assumption is a lodge of instruction will be EAs and above. So do you find, say, if the discussion is, if there's more EAs, the discussion is a certain way versus past masters, like, right, what is the...
Definitely. The group changes. The group dynamic changes. If you're dealing with a bunch of EAs, your questions are going to be focused on much more basic terminology. Whereas if you're dealing with all masters, and I've had a couple of them where I had just all masters, so we could talk about higher level ideas, higher level things. Whereas, yes, definitely the group determines what level of ritual we go into, and then but the terminology is kind of the same. It's just I can't use examples. If we're talking EAs and I have EAs in the room, I won't use a 3rd degree example or a 2nd degree example. I'll stay with an EA example. If we're in the room with Master Masons, then we may just have a straight Master Mason discussion about the 3rd degree. So definitely changes.
And and like I said, in terms of, I guess, the term like Masonic education outside of, say, a lodge of instruction, if it's just talking about the history of the craft or the history of Freemasonry in Arizona, for example, which I'm assuming will be one of the features of the upcoming event in Tombstone, talking about 1880s, right? Like, how much of education, especially at the Grand Lodge level, is focused more on the public, either in terms of Freemasonry's history in Arizona or things of that nature?
That's a really good question. And I really don't want to say for Grand Lodge, because I really don't. I'm trying to think. I can tell you what we do in our lodge, because I don't really want to say for Grand Lodge, because I really don't know. I know in our lodge, like, we do Tombstone's obviously a tourist town. A lot of things happen in Tombstone. This coming weekend's Donkey Dash, so they bring in the burros and they do this race around Tombstone. Next weekend is the Rose Bush Festival, and that's where the world's largest rose bush is going to be blooming. And so that's another festival. For like these upcoming weekends with things like that, our lodge, we set up a tent downtown to invite the brethren in and come in and talk about Masonry. We have brothers that sit in a tent and greet Masons from around the world, and locals as well, that will stop in and say hello. And we've had people that have been interested in Masonry and then have eventually decided to join our lodge because they met someone on the street that was sitting in a tent that said King Solomon number 5, territorial lodge, stop by and say hello. And so, as a lodge, we are definitely active in our community. Um, Masonry in Arizona, of course, is very active. We're number 5. We're the only territorial lodge. When I say, and I say the term territorial lodge because we were established before Arizona became a state in 1912. And we're one that, still meets in the original meeting spot. We're the only one of the territorial lodges that still meets in our original building. And we've met in Shefflin Hall since June of 1881. So it's really, the history here is definitely alive, and it's talked a little about in Arizona, but comparatively to many other countries, Arizona is a little over 100 and some years, 108 years. That's not very long in the great scheme of things. 1912 is kind of a young state compared to, no, except for Alaska and Hawaii. We're the young guys, but we do kind of try to reach out in Masonry in general. We have a matter of fact, I just thought about this. Florence had a parade that was designated for the Masons, and the Grand Master of Masonry was the Grand Master of the parade. So we definitely are getting out and about in Arizona.
Good. I mean, I'm happy. I think education, Masonic education, takes a lot of different forms, right? And there's obviously educating the Masons themselves, and then that's going to take different forms depending on their level. And then there's educating the actual lodge, the public, right, about the history of the craft and its value to the jurisdiction, Arizona or otherwise. We talked about this again offline, but as you said, right, for the 6th, for Saturday, it's a first come, first serve type thing. Right? Just if you're a Mason and your apprentice or above, make your way to the lodge if you can, right? Make your way to, what's the address again? 219 Garden. Basically, make your way to Sierra Vista, Capstone, 219 South Garden, building. And there you go. And yeah, take the time to, grow your Masonic knowledge. It's only going to help grow your Masonic experience, right? The more you know about the craft.
One of the things, if I can add, one of the things that we always talk about, especially here, is don't be afraid to talk about Masonry to everybody, because I think it's a great organization. One of the things I always tell people, they say, well, isn't it a secret organization? I'm like, is it a secret? Heck, we have a big old building. The biggest building in Tombstone has our Masonic Lodge name right on the side. You can't miss it. We're not hiding. It's not a secret. I just say this, there's certain things that happen at anybody's job that only people that work there know what it is. Well, it's the same thing with Masonry. There's certain things that happen in a meeting that only people that are members know. But it's no secret about what we do. Not really. It's a gathering of individuals to discuss, the meaning of things, to become better men, to become better husbands, to become better fathers. And that's kind of, the view we take here in Tombstone is we're trying to make us all better by associating with better people. But don't be afraid to talk about Masonry. I'll always talk to people about Masonry because I think it's a great organization. I think it's great ideas. But again, we're not going to talk about what happens specifically in a meeting unless you're a member. You want to find out, knock on the door, ask, ask to become a member. But too many people hear that phrase, oh, I can't tell you. Well, I can tell you a lot of things about Masonry. There's certain things I won't tell you, but I can tell you a lot of things.
No, I agree completely, right? I think that is one of those misconceptions, even amongst Masons, right? It's hard to argue we're a secret society when our symbols or square and compasses, the phrase Masonic Temple, right, is emboldened on the facade of some of the biggest buildings in the particular town, right? And so, yeah, I'm also assuming that even though it is a lodge of instruction on Saturday, right, it's still also a meeting of the lodge, so you can come for that as well. And that's going to be, oh no, so it's just a lodge of instruction.
Just a lodge of instruction open to any EA or above.
Okay.
It is open for anyone, and I will anticipate I will get several others that I know that are coming from in the Sierra Vista that are not members of Campstone 77. So I've had other brothers reach out to me. So I'll have a pretty good attendance there. But no, the meeting they don't do their meeting until the second Saturday of the month. So this is strictly going to be a lodge of instruction that evening where we can sit around and talk. And I probably need to get some cookies because if you really want people to come, you got to offer food. So I'll work on that.
I agree 100%. Offer food always helps. But so, it's great. I just want to do the plug one more time.
Yep. Thank you.
April 6th, 2024 at 5:00 p.m. School of Instruction, Campstone Lodge number 77, 219 South Garden Avenue, Sierra Vista, Arizona. EAs and above are welcome. Don't need to RSVP. Just show up.
Just show up, and
there may be cookies.
There will be cookies.
There will be cookies. Now you got to do it.
Yeah, I can stop at the store on the way. I can't say they'll be home baked, but there'll be cookies.
There'll be cookies. There'll be cookies of unknown origin. There, that made it sound creepier than it should be. There'll be cookies there, and they will be delicious. And
yes.
Do a quick plug. Here's a question for you. Not that I have no plans right now of getting there, but Tombstone, the 20th. Like
20th
if
April.
people are flying in to say Phoenix is my assumption. Like,
nope,
will there be brothers
Tucson.
coming? Tucson. Okay, so that's the best place. Will there be brothers coming in from Phoenix, from Tucson?
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. There's
catch a ride.
Yeah. Part of our cast is coming in from Phoenix and Tucson as well. So we have brothers from all over Arizona registered. I know there's somebody from, I want to say Finland or Iceland that's coming in. We have a couple of Canadians coming in, and then Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, Virginia, California are just some of the states that I've seen the registrations from. So we have people coming from all over.
How many, what's the limit on registration? Are you running?
We are limited to 300. I think we have around 200 registered.
So, all right. Well, I think I posted something about it on Facebook. Like I try to share links to things or events, but if I haven't, I'll make sure I do.
Tombstonemasons.com.
Tombstonemasons.com.
Tombstonemasons.com. It has a link to our calendar. It has a link to all our stuff, our history, but it has a link to registering for all our stuff. And tombstonemasons.com. And we got a little bit of openings. If you you register, you get a ticket to go see the gunfight during the day. You get food. There's some there's a pin and a coin that are all part of the package. A raffle ticket. We're raffling off a Henry rifle and some other items. And then you get part of the degree, get to be in the degree. And that's going to be kind of, I think, just going to be really cool to be able to do it at the OK.
I will leave a link in the description. In my experience, although it might be like when I flew in, even though I was going to Nogales, it was actually cheaper to fly into Phoenix than it was to Tucson.
Some places, sometimes it's easier for me to fly. It's cheaper for me to fly to Tucson than Phoenix. But yes, Phoenix is a much bigger airport. I mean, Sky Harbor is much bigger than Tucson.
So it's not too late to register. If you're from out of town, out of country, out of state, out of wherever, out of the solar system, it's not too late to register. And there's going to be ways to get from where you land to where you got to go. So I'm sure.
And we do have one last thing. We do have a spouses program, but just make sure you bring your dues card.
Okay, bring your dues card. Thank you so much, worshipful sir. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me. And I know that the School of Instruction is going to go very well, as will, I'm sure, the 20th. And with that, thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, Cameron.